Welcome back to the channel. We're back with another video, and things are looking more and more official. Caitlin Clark will not be participating in Unrivaled. That's right. The reports are starting to pile up, and now we're finally getting some real reason behind it. For this one, we gotta take a quick trip back to Indiana, because it seems like everything connects there. Now, I'm sure many of you have already heard the rumors about Caitlin skipping Unrivaled, and honestly, this doesn't surprise me at all. I've been telling you for weeks that she wasn't going to do it. I mean, come on. It's been pretty obvious for a while now. Apparently, the same sources that told me may have also reached the front office sports team, because they've been reporting the same thing. People have been messaging me for months saying, "Yo, don't push that Caitlin to Unrivaled story. She's not doing it." So, I stayed away from that whole narrative, unlike a lot of folks who ran wild with it. But hey, to each their own. Now here's where things start to get really interesting. We're finally getting some details about why she's probably not joining Unrivaled. Shout out to Rachel A. Dida. She recently caught up with Dave Portnoy, and he dropped some insight that's got everyone talking. Rachel's been landing some big interviews lately, and this one with Portnoy might have been the most revealing yet. During the interview, Rachel asked Dave directly if he'd ever want to partner with Caitlin or help her start something of her own. Portnoy didn't hesitate. He said, "If Caitlin wanted to start her own league, I'd give her $100 million. If she made me her agent, I'd do it in a second." But then he added something interesting. He doesn't think she'd actually do it. Why? Because she's got those blue blood endorsements. State Farm, Nike, Gatorade. He even compared her to Tom Brady, saying she rarely says or does anything controversial, and that she's been a good trooper for the Fever and the league. Now hold up, that phrase, good trooper, really stood out to me. It says a lot about where Caitlin's head might actually be. She's been playing this whole thing smart. Remember that ankle injury? The one she called the worst pain she'd ever felt? Look, we all love Caitlin, but let's be real. That didn't look like the kind of injury that keeps you out for weeks. No crutches, no boot, no brace, nothing. She was walking around the same day. So when Portnoy says she's been a good trooper, to me, that means she's doing what the Fever and the league want to do. Protecting her image, staying professional, and maybe, just maybe, playing the long game. She probably could have come back earlier, maybe even suited up for the playoffs. But she didn't. And that's not about pain, that's about politics. So yeah, Caitlin Clark skipping Unrivaled isn't shocking. It's strategic. She's thinking long-term. Team USA, her brand deals her legacy. She's not chasing short-term moves. She's building something much bigger. And honestly, I respect that.
You talked about if Caitlin did her own league. Do you know anything about what you would want to see her do? You said you'd partner with her and give her $100 million. That's the biggest offer that she's gotten.
If she would have let me be her agent, I would have in a second. And if she's like, "I'll start a new league with you," I would get her whatever you want. I don't think she'll ever do that. Like, I talk with her never about that stuff. She has State Farm, Nike, Gatorade. Those are like blue bloods. Brian's a Tom Brady in a way. Like, very rarely, if ever, publicly says anything that like should cause any waves. She's kind of like been a good trooper for the Fever and the league. So I think she wants to make the WNBA work. I think she grew up wanting to play in it, but you have to have a certain personality. Like, I think if she truly was like, "I'm out of here, I'm starting my own league," she'd have people lining up, including myself, and she would put the WNBA out of business. I really do believe that.
Those are big facts, man. If Caitlin Clark ever decides to start her own league, it's over. There's no more W. The whole thing would crumble overnight. You realize that, right? Because I definitely do. The moment Caitlin makes that move, the WNBA as we know it is done. So it's official. Caitlin Clark will not be joining the second season of Unrivaled. Multiple sources familiar with the situation told Front Office Sports that the 3-on-3 basketball league had been heavily pursuing Clark since its launch last year, but she's decided not to participate. Reportedly, the league had massive plans for her, even offering what one executive described as a Lionel Messi type deal. But as we've said before, for Caitlin Clark, it's never really been about the money. Now, here's where things get interesting. The league recently expanded to 8 teams and a total of 48 players. As of Thursday morning, 46 names are confirmed, leaving 2 open roster spots. That immediately sparked speculation that those final 2 were being held for Caitlin Clark and WNBA MVP Aya Wilson. Neither participated in Unrivaled last year, and now, according to updated reports, neither will this year either. Angel Reese, who did compete in Unrivaled's debut season, also won't be returning. From everything I've heard, Angel is focusing full-time on her podcast brand and expanding her modeling opportunities. Maybe she didn't love last season's format, or maybe she's just moving in a new direction. But one thing's clear, she's building beyond basketball right now. As for Clark, one sports journalist noted that the league statements this week about productive negotiations were originally referencing her. At one point, this looked like the closest Caitlin Clark had ever come to joining Unrivaled. However, that detail was later corrected, confirming she's not in active negotiations. The league is simply waiting and hoping she changes her mind. If this sounds familiar, it's because we saw the same storyline last year. Unrivaled tried to build buzz around the idea of Caitlin joining, and she quickly shut it down. Her camp made it clear then that she wasn't doing it, and it looks like history is repeating itself. There's also a bigger angle here. Unrivaled's leadership, including co-founder Nafisa Collier, has been vocal recently about frustrations with WNBA management and labor issues. That tension may be influencing how certain players, especially rising stars like Caitlin, are handling their off-season decisions. So, bottom line, Caitlin Clark won't be playing in Unrivaled Season 2. Aya Wilson's status remains unconfirmed but unlikely.
Change that, maternity stuff, like pregnancy stuff. I'm not sure about what we're trying to change. The problem is we're so handcuffed. The NBA owns like 40% to 50% of the WNBA, and that is where it's so hard to compare, because they're like, well, we get the players this much, but we, on our side, we automatically have to take 40% off to give to the NBA before we see any money. So it's kind of hard even to do the comparison with them, because they're honestly just like working with, we have different rules. Like, we're working with a different set of rules, so it's kind of hard.
All right, man. Let's talk about this whole Nafisa Collier situation again, because I didn't touch on this part yesterday. What's crazy about all of this is that Nafisa didn't even tell Caitlin she was going to do that interview. No heads up, no warning, nothing. And on top of that, she was pocket watching. Yeah, I said it. And you know what that tells me? Aaron Kane needs to be fired. Immediately. I'm about 80% sure he knew exactly what was going down. See, a lot of y'all don't really understand how this entertainment and sports business works. Nobody's out here just doing or saying things on their own. Everything runs through agents, managers, PR teams, the whole system. There's no such thing as spontaneous in this game. Everything is planned, polished, and approved before it ever hits the public. That's why some people don't like us YouTubers. We're raw. We don't have a script. We don't have handlers telling us what we can or can't say. Sometimes we'll say something that completely messes up a PR narrative. And that's exactly why the industry doesn't vibe with us too much. Now back to Aaron Kane. This man knew. You can't tell me he didn't. Nafisa went on that interview, called out Kathy Engelbert, and suddenly Caitlin Clark's name got thrown in there out of nowhere. And guess what? Caitlin had no idea. That's wild. You can't represent 2 players, one calling out the commissioner and dragging the other's name into it, without at least giving a heads up. That's PR 101. Aaron Kane should have called Caitlin and said, "Hey, just so you know, Nafisa's going public with some comments about Kathy, and your name's gonna come up. Be ready." That's what a real agent or manager does. And let's not get it twisted. Those statements Nafisa made didn't just appear overnight. Somebody helped her write them. They go through an editorial process, a review process, and a clearance process. Managers and agents always know what's in those statements before they're released. Why? Because they want to avoid bad press or any damage to their clients' brands. So, yeah, Aaron Kane knew, and he dropped the ball. Now, as for Caitlin, look, I keep saying this. She's not built for all this media drama. That's just not who she is. She's from Iowa, man. It's quiet there. people mind their own business. They're not running around chasing clout or stirring up media narratives. Caitlyn just wants to hoop. That's it. She doesn't care about politics, agendas, or headlines. She's a play ball and go home type of player. But somebody in her camp needs to step up. Man, someone's got to have her back. Every time something happens, Caitlyn ends up blindsided, and that's not fair to her. Aaron Kane, where were you, bro? Where's Connor? Where's the person protecting Caitlyn's image? Someone needs to stand on business for her, because she's clearly not going to get in the mud with these people. Anyway, y'all tell me what you think down below. Should Aaron Kane be fired? Should Caitlyn find new representation? Because this is getting out of